What's up, everybody? I hope you're doing well. Welcome to yet another change of scenery. I'll explain that later. But for today, we're going to hop into yet another continuation of this interview series with Andrew Raisin from Herd. And in today's section of the interview, we're talking specifically about how to keep track of your quarterly and yearly taxes, with an emphasis on the quarterly part. Now, if you haven't been keeping up with the series, Andrew is CEO and co-founder of Herd, which focuses on bookkeeping and taxes for, yes, exclusively therapists. If you'd like to watch the full unedited video, it's linked in the description below, or you can stay tuned and watch all these videos in the playlist as they roll out. And before we go into the interview, let me just give a little disclaimer that what we talk about in our interview does not constitute legal or professional tax advice. If you're looking for help with those things, please consult with a professional yourself. All right, let's hop into the interview.
So one question that came up around quarterly taxes is, for estimated quarterly taxes, what do I need to know or do? What even are quarterly taxes, and what are we supposed to do with them?
Quarterly taxes are your payment for the individual income tax liability that you have as an individual taxpayer. In the eyes of the IRS, if you are going to have a tax liability associated with your practice that supersedes $1,000 for the course of the year, the guidance is fairly clear that you should be responsible for paying into these taxes throughout the year. If you choose to not pay into your quarterly taxes throughout the year, there are penalties and fees that are associated with that decision in the magnitude of 0.5% all the way up to 25%, again, assessed against your individual income tax liability at the end of the year. Again, every accountant is different in how they approach their strategy. So if you hear this and say, well, my accountant told me that I don't need to pay quarterly taxes, I would have a conversation with your accountant to just understand why that decision was made. And there may be a totally reasonable decision as to why they made that. I just don't want to alarm for folks that might have heard information separately. But the IRS guidance is fairly clear that you should be responsible for paying in quarterly taxes throughout the year.
Okay, it's time for the quarterly taxes. Like, where do I go to go pay them?
Yes, and how much do I have to pay, and what do I do? So depending on the state that you live in, and so of course there are certain states that don't have state income tax, and so in those specific states, you are not responsible for paying state income tax. If you're an S corporation, there may be a different type of tax associated with your practice, and so I would recommend getting a sense of what are the taxes that I do need to pay. But as an individual taxpayer, for that business profit that is either earned through your S corporation, taken in the form of distributions, or through your sole proprietorship that has been untaxed throughout the year, you are responsible for paying into the IRS in the state a certain percentage. And so for this, there are some quarterly tax calculators online if you do want to DIY it. But this is also a good one-time consultation or a good annual conversation with the tax accountant that you might be working with. Or if you're working with somebody like Herd, will provide you those estimates on a quarterly basis. The specific thing to highlight here is that you're probably going to move into private practice, or you've been into private practice for a period of time, and you're learning that you have to pay quarterly tax estimates. But what is included in these quarterly tax estimates is you as a whole tax individual, not just your individual private practice. And so what that means is that if you have a partner that is a high earner, or if you have dependents in your family, or if you're a head of household, all of the individual circumstances about you as a tax individual that influence the tax rate that you pay taxes at the end of the year on your individual income tax return influence how much you have to pay at the federal and the state level. So always recommend at least having that one-time consultation just to get a good understanding of what that might look like, because you don't want to underpay or assume that you owe less when really, oh, my partner earns $250,000 a year, so our tax bracket is actually 30% and not 15%.
So again, the value of checking with an expert, like this is not something to be messed with, and you don't want to find out later that you didn't pay enough.
Well, thank you so much, Andrew, for offering your expertise for all of us to glean from. I know for many of us, the idea of managing our own finances and taxes can become a barrier to launching a private practice. So if you're feeling confused by keeping track of those quarterly taxes, hopefully this video was helpful to you. And if you would like some of that professional help, Herd is available to help you with that. Herd can help you with so many aspects of your finances in private practice, whether it be bookkeeping, accounting, and of course, taxes, including keeping up with those pesky quarterly taxes. So if you'd like to check out Herd, you can explore their website below. I've linked to it in the description box. And before we close, I'd like to thank therapynotes.com for sponsoring this video. Therapy Notes helps with all of your practice management needs, from scheduling to notes to billing to an array of other very helpful functions that they offer, all within their monthly rate. Now, if you'd like to check out Therapy Notes, you can get 2 months to try it for free with no commitment just by clicking the link in the description of this video. Well, I hope you found this video helpful. If you have more questions about accounting and taxes in private practice, you might find it helpful to check out the full playlist where we talk about all the different things that people have questions about when it comes to accounting and taxes. And until next time, from one therapist to another, I wish you well.